Thank you all. Thank you so much for being on this evening. I hope you had a great day. I hope that you're having a great week. Merry Christmas, everyone. And certainly, we want to say Happy Hanukkah, and we appreciate again, always a joy to come into your sacred spaces. We count it a privilege to share with you weekly. We are grateful for your emails, and we're grateful for the testimonies and the praise reports that are often submitted. And so we want you to know these next 30 minutes, 28 minutes, be teaching, and we invite you to like and share and to invite others. You ought to invite your circle to Bible study with you tonight. Invite your friends, invite your co-workers. Tell them to come hear word from the Lord. Tonight I want to continue in our lesson. Sunday's message was blessed and highly favored. And the word of the Lord is so potent and rich, you cannot really exhaust the text. When you approach it, there's so many different layers, and it's chock full of revelation and present truths. And so tonight, I want you to revisit with me Luke, the first chapter and the 28th verse. That's Luke, the first chapter and the 28th verse. Please join me tonight for these next 28 minutes or so as we teach Luke. And tonight, as we're sharing, we want you to know that we're praying for everyone, many of whom are having to spend the holidays without their loved ones and family members. And I know that has been quite challenging and difficult for you. We want you to know that we will continue to pray. We will continue to pray for you. The angel, Luke, the first chapter, the angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you are highly favored. Blessed, the Lord is with you." Mary was greatly troubled in her words and wondered what kind of greeting might be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid. You have found favor with God." Tonight, I want to talk about the season of favor. God has a surprise for you. The season of favor, God has a surprise for you in this text. Mary, again, is the archetype or the perfect example or the personification of one who represents the unexplainable favor of God. We have in this story what many call a second creation, that is, creation ex nihilo, creation out of nothing. Here, this young girl living a life ordinary in obscurity in the ghetto, Nazareth, in obscurity. Every Jewish family had a dream in their hearts based on the teachings, the Torah, that their family, their bloodline, and particularly if they understood their lineage, that their bloodline would bear, that the Messiah, the Mashiach, would come through their bloodline. And so they lived in expectation. They lived in hope. They were up under tyranny and oppression. Therefore, they were anticipating that God would move on their behalf. So they had a dream. They were longing for change and longing for better and longing for something that would change the trajectory of their lives. And so tonight, they were anticipating God doing something marvelous for them. I want to say to you tonight that this is a season of favor. Everything about the Advent speaks to miracles, speaks to God's favor. Everything about your life, God is punctuating your life with divine favor. God is punctuating your life with divine favor. Somebody's saying, well, how can that be? I'm having the hardest time finding a job. I'm having the most difficult, challenging time dealing with homeschooling and this virtual school learning and working for me. And then I'm not being able to make the money I was making because the pandemic has curtailed the movement. How can this be? What makes you so sure? It's because I understand that God never leaves us to chance. God will never allow the mess to mar you. God will never allow the suffering to suffocate you. God will never allow the distress to derail you. God is the God who is always on the side of the oppressed, on the side of the voiceless, on the side of the weak, on the side of the disenfranchised, on the side of the disinherited. God of the Bible is for us. Here we see the story again. Emmanuel, God with us. Isn't it good to know that God is the ultimate with? Isn't it good to know that we have a God who loves us so much that he sent Jesus the Christ, his precious, his beloved son, his beloved, his only begotten son, down through 42 generations. That old Baptist preacher would tell us that he came down through, he rode the 9-month train of nature. He got off in Bethlehem, came down through 42 generation and got off in Bethlehem, and he was born of a virgin. And so they wanted us to know that God did something special. God did something marvelous. So in our text, we find the angel greeting Mary in such an unusual manner, it caught her off guard. Some translation will say, that's Luke, the 1st chapter, 28th verse, for those of you who are joining us in our lesson tonight. Some version says, he says, hail. Another version says, he said, hey, what's up? But he greeted her in such a way it startled her. And so we say tonight, this is the season of favor. God has a surprise for you. I want you to help me teach this lesson tonight. There are those who are watching us by way of YouTube. There are those who are watching us by way of YouTube and, of course, here in the other platforms, livestream.tv. I need you to type in the comments. I need you to help me get the word out to my brother, my sister, and say, this is the season of favor, and just say to them, hey, God's got a surprise for you, something special, something wonderful. So let it be known that many of you are already pregnant with infinite possibilities. Your life has been invaded with supernatural favor. Your experience is being invaded with supernatural favor. Your situation, your circumstances, your life, your conditions, and even though the backdrop of the text was suffering and up under Roman rule, they could not engage in self-determination. And that's why we are clear that we have to push back on any tyrannical force that would seek to strip us of our voice, that would seek to tell us how we should think and how we should feel. The kind that would seek to group us all in one monolithic kind of people where we can only say when they say so. We can only speak when they say so. But when we know that we have a God who has already empowered us and a God who came to free us, we can speak up, we can speak truth to power, we can speak against an unjust system. We will not bow to nihilistic threats. The church is under siege. African American church is seeing now in this current political climate that the wicked will try anything to seek to discredit. They will try anything to seek to muzzle the voice of prophetic people. But we need to be clear, this is our season of favor. When God, who is doing the favoring, has chose us, and God, who has gone out of God's self, sacrificed God's self to give to us God's best in the person of Jesus the Christ. So in this first chapter, 28th verse, we have what is called the Annunciation. An announcement at the center of our text today. At the center of our text tonight, we see something unusual. The center of our text, we see something that's unprecedented. We see something that is extraordinary. There's something unfathomable, unusual, unprecedented, unfathomable, unusual, unprecedented, extraordinary happening for you right now. Somebody saying, you mean me? Yes, you. Do you mean to tell me that right now in this challenging space, in this unfamiliar space, do you mean to tell me I am still blessed and highly favored? Yes. Do you mean to tell me God's got a surprise for me? Yes, God's got a surprise for you. When we look at our text and we understand that when Gabriel, the angel who means God is my strength, says to Mary, says to her, you are blessed and highly favored, translation, you are, or translated, you are as favored as you can imagine. Translate, you are as favored as it comes. Translate, it gets no better than this. Let me say it for somebody who can hear me tonight. You are as favored as favored can be. You are as favored as it comes. Let me just say to you, brother, trying to figure out how you're going to make it through this holiday season, woman of God, that you're trying to figure out how you're going to get past it. It doesn't get any better than this. Now, you got to look at your life and see that God is the one doing the favoring. Has nothing to do with you, had nothing to do with Mary. It all had to do with God. Notice the word favor is being mentioned here, has nothing to do with Mary. Favor is something that comes from the one doing the favoring. And favor says something about the one who's doing the favor. So in this season of favor, in the midst of this holiday crunch, in the midst of this hustle and bustle, it's amazing how even in the pandemic, we find ourselves still busy. It is so important that we get it right and say God is the one doing the favoring. And since God has chosen us to be favored, we can affirm that God has favorites. And God plays to favor. Isn't that the story of the Hebraic text? God hasn't chosen people who accept their chosenness and carry out their God-given agenda, God-given purpose as those who are chosen. Tonight, as we peep and look in a little closer to the text, I want to lift up Psalms 102 and 13 for you. I want to lift up Psalms 102 and 13. And I want you to see something. The writer says, I will arise and have mercy on Zion, for the set time to favor, even yea, the set time the favor has come. Psalms 102. Let me deal with this. I will arise and have mercy on Zion, the set time. Let me unpack that. There is in Hebraic text, this word set time here, set time, is moedah. Translate, it's the same word in Genesis, the first chapter, when the writer says, and God created times and seasons. And so that word there is moedah. It means festival. It means rendezvous. It means a time. It means a festival rendezvous. It means also a special moment. God's got a surprise for you. A special season. The writer says, I will arise and have mercy on Zion, for the meeting place, the appointed place, set time to favor you, meaning appointed time is rendezvous, meeting, festival, special moment, unusual moment. And so the writer is saying, I will rise and have mercy, for this unusual moment that God has ordained for you has come. I will arise and have mercy because the festive season, a time for celebration, has come. Get this. And he said the set time to favor, that means God is creating conditions so that they will be favorable in the face of opposition. God will create a position, a space that even in the midst of intimidating circumstances, unpleasant circumstances, the hand of favor will be made known to man. Somebody ought to shout, God is doing the favoring over here, and he's favoring us real good. Can I get you to type that? God is doing the favoring over here for the Johnsons, for the Winstons, for the Pugh, for the Stewart. God is doing the favoring over here for the Thomas, for the Wilsons, for the Williams. God is doing the favoring over here, and he's doing it real good. So here we are. You see the text, I will arise. So there's a meeting place. Moeday means to meet. That means that God has set out for us banquet style. Banquet style. Let me say it again. Festive feast. It's going to be a feast of favor. Can I get somebody to prophesy and say God has prepared a feast of favor? Can I get you to prophesy and say God has prepared for us a feast of favor banquet style? All as much as you can handle. As much as you can handle. Remember, I told you favor literally means it doesn't get any better than this. Remember, I told you this is as good as it gets. It keeps on getting gooder and gooder. I know that's not a word, but God wants us to know that this is the season when I am laying it out for you. I'm laying it out in such a gourmet. I'm laying it out in with fancy. I'm laying it out for you with great care. I've selected you to come. Everybody can't partake in this. This is for the faithful. This is for the dedicated. This is for the devoted. This is for those. Some of you have been weary in your traveling. Some of you are ready to quit and throw in the towel. But the word of the Lord to the people of God tonight, season of favor, God has a surprise for you. And so I've unpacked the text to expound to let you know Moeday. Now in the Greek text, the word time, there's a word for time, chronos, which is sequential time, the passing of time. But there's kairos, which has to do with special, unusual moments. And so these kairos moments are very unusual. There's something unusual happening even in this nation where we're seeing yet to be United States as obvious. We're seeing schism and division everywhere, but there's unusual grace being bestowed upon you, child of God. There is unusual grace being bestowed upon you, man of God. Unusual grace being bestowed upon you, upon your children, upon your children's children. Can I teach it tonight? Unusual grace being bestowed upon where you have sown and you are about to reap in joy. Unusual favor being bestowed upon you, dear sir. God did not forget, but God wanted you to meet. God is doing the meeting, so the arrangement is meet me, Moeday, appointed time, rendezvous. Have you ever scheduled a meeting and you were so excited about getting to the appointment, and you were determined not to be late? You were determined that you were going to get there early. That anticipation drove you. That excitement drove you. That's how we should be now concerning God's agenda, his plan, and our will. We got to be driven in excitement and so filled with anticipation, believing that God is going to show up for us and meet us there, and will meet us and show up and then show out and lay it out for us banquet style. That's what we're saying. So God chose Mary. God elected Mary, selected Mary, chose Mary. God favored Mary. God chose you. God selected you for it. If God didn't know that you couldn't handle it, God would not have ensured that you got here on time. When you look at all that you've been through, when you look at all that he's delivered you out of. Didn't he bring you out on time? Because he loved you so much. There was a higher calling, a higher purpose, a greater plan, greater works, a bigger dream. Yeah. Larger intent, larger purpose for us all. Therefore, this holiday season, this Christmas, this new year, get ready for a divine suddenly. God has a surprise for me. God is going to surprise you, and he's going to do it in such a way you're going to know that you're blessed and highly favored. So don't you dare bow down to sorrow. Don't you dare allow depression to derail you. Don't you dare allow despair to defeat you. Don't you dare allow the gruesomeness to grip you. Don't you dare allow fear to cause you to fold. Don't you dare allow the horrific hurts to hinder you. Believe the word of the Lord tonight and know that this is the appointed time, the set time, the God-ordained moment, God-ordained time to favor you even in it. You even in it, even, let me just say, even if you are in obscurity, even if no one knows your name, God knows your name. Even if they tell you they can't locate you, God can locate you. He'll trace you back to the tears that you cry because he's bottled them out. He'll trace back to the latest sacrifice that you've rendered unto him. So I say to you tonight, I want you to prepare for your surprise. I want you to prepare for this season of favor and prepare in this season of favor not to miss what God is doing. It has been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. Wine is saying the song, it's been a long time coming, but a change is gonna come. It's been a long time for you, brother, but now is the appointed time. Set time to favor you has come. It's been a long time for you, pastor, but the set time to favor you has come. It's been a long time for you, brother, but the set time to favor you has come. I prophesy the contracts will land in your lap. I prophesy to you, child of God, the set time to favor you has come. You're going to end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment that you didn't even have to pay for. Can I prophesy to tell you that there is now favor with your name on it? I want you to encourage somebody along with me as I encourage you and say, if you got enough faith to put the address, the numbers to your address in the comment section. If you got enough faith, that's in the realm of as if you've already accepted that this is your season of favor, and you've been so specific. Even you've been so specific, I want you to put the time in the comments section, and I want you to say whatever the time is, and I want you to decree right now that at this time the favor of God is in my house. If it's 7:21, if it's 7:25, 7:26, I want you to say it at 7:26. It happened for me. Somebody's getting a miracle right now coming out of ICU. Good God, coming off of that ventilator. I said, by faith, proclaim at whatever the time is, it happened for me. Believe God is doing it for you. Believe God has already done it for you. And believe that God has done it in such a way you won't be able to do anything but to give God glory because he so favored you. And Mary's response to the favor of the Lord is found in Luke 1:38. Let it be so to me, according to your word. Let it be so. God bless you. Listen, it's been our joy to minister to you tonight. I want you to know that at any point in time, you can email us all the information on the screen. And I want you to know we'll pray for you and praying for you now that you will not miss what God is doing in the season of favor. God has a surprise for you. Be blessed. I want everyone to sow something now. Get 22 in your hand, $22 seed, and sow double in your hand and say, this is my season of favor, and I'm anticipating that God is going to showcase sovereignty in my life, magnify mercy in my life, sweeten it for me, and that right early. Be blessed. Thank you for joining us.